Did you ever want to know what happens when a home does not appraise at the sale price? Are you curious what the options of a seller are when you get a low appraisal? Check out this week's episode of Tom's Take to get all those answers and find out exactly what happens when a home does not appraise. I'm Tom Toole. Welcome to Tom's Take. This week we are hitting on a very relevant topic, and it's about appraisals in the marketplace. The reason this is so relevant is that right now we're in an inclining market, so prices are going up, inventory's low, and what happens is as the market increases, the comparable sales in the past, kind of down here on the imaginary chart I just showed you, they're not catching up to where values are. So there is a little bit of an issue where maybe the data's not there to show the value of a home on paper. And with little turnover and little inventory, there's less and less comparable sales to choose from. So when your home does not appraise at the sale price, the value does not come in at the sale price, there's a couple options available for sellers and a couple ways this can play out. So the first option for a seller is to appeal the appraisal, meaning send over comparable sales that you as the seller and your agent use to price the property. A lot of times, the appraisers ignore private sales that could have a big bearing on where the appraisal would come in, so something that didn't hit the MLS, didn't hit the market, or they didn't use the same comparables you did, or didn't have the same understanding of the sales. Remember, this is why you hire an agent, because they're the expert in the market. You may not have those. So ask for a copy of the report and send over the comps that you use, the comparable sales, to price the home initially. Then what can happen is it'll get reviewed by the mortgage company, by the underwriters, by the appraiser, and in many cases, they will adjust the value and use that data. So if the value comes up to the sale price, you're all set. If it doesn't, the second option is to ask the buyer to talk to another lender and change lenders. Now, buyers may not agree to this. However, in some cases, if they really want the house and they don't want to lose the transaction, which is happening a lot right now because of inventory levels and the buyer demand for certain properties in certain neighborhoods, they will be willing to change lenders, and that lender will order a new appraisal. Appraisers are chosen through a rotating list that are approved by each bank, so you may get someone that's a little more appropriate. For example, there are some lenders, at least in our marketplace in Pennsylvania, that will only bring in appraisers from the county the property is located. This is a great way to proceed with appraisers and have the right people come out, because there's nothing worse than getting that person that's from 2 counties over and doesn't know anything about the local market. So changing lenders can be very effective, but again, you have to get the buyer to agree. So then, if those two things aren't an option, let's go back to what the agreement of sale says. And in the appraisal contingency, which a lot of agents will include, the buyer has the option to terminate the agreement if the home doesn't appraise, or come up with mutually acceptable terms to buyer and seller, basically meaning they can renegotiate. This is the most common way this plays out in my experience, where let's say the home sold at $350, appraisal came in at $330, maybe the buyer and seller meet in the middle, the buyer comes up with some additional funds, and they move ahead and go to closing. So there are a couple ways this can play out. If you got any questions about this stuff, contact me directly, ping us on social. Very relevant topic right now because it's important to understand how the process works as much as what your options are. So thanks for watching Tom's Take. I'll be back to you next week with more content. You need anything at all, you know where to get me. Take care.